Hello, today we will recap a sci-fi action movie from 2011, titled In Time. Spoilers ahead, watch out and enjoy. The movie starts in the year 2169. Here people are genetically engineered to stop aging when they reach the age of 25. When this occurs, a timer appears on their arm, with only 1 year remaining. They must work in order to survive, as time is now society's currency. This effectively makes wealthy people immortal. The country has been divided into time zones to separate the various classes, with New Greenwich being the richest. Meanwhile, in the ghetto, Will lives in a small apartment with his mother Rachel, and they barely have enough money to get by each day. Will wants to make some extra money by time fighting, but Rachel forbids him because it never ends well. Will is still a generous person, and whenever he sees young Maya on the streets, he gives her some of his time so she can survive as well. One evening, Will goes to a bar where he used to gamble, to get an hour a guy owed him. He notices a crazy man who buys drinks for everyone. This is Henry, and his timer is set to a century. Will is perplexed as to what a wealthy man is doing here, and attempts to warn him about the Minutemen, a gang of thugs who steal other people's time, but Henry refuses to listen. Suddenly, gang leader Fortis appears and requests a time fight with Henry. Everyone else in the bar flees, except for Will, who hides in the back. Henry accepts the challenge but requests to go to the loo first. With only one guard accompanying him, Will seizes the opportunity to knock the gangster out, and escape with Henry through the back door. They run a few blocks and take refuge inside an abandoned factory. Will gets confused as to what a wealthy man is doing in the ghetto, and Henry admits that he left New Greenwich, because he is 105 years old and sick of living. He explains that the cost of living in the ghetto keeps rising to ensure that people keep dying, because the rich can only live if the poor die. Henry and Will eventually fall asleep. In the morning, Henry takes advantage of waking up first to pass all his time to Will, only keeping 5 minutes to himself. Soon after, Will awakens to find a message on the window that reads, "Don't waste my time." When he looks out, he sees Henry sitting on the bridge, right before he is about to time out. Will goes to the bridge to make sure Henry is dead before fleeing, not realizing there are security cameras nearby. Will then goes to his friend Borel's house, where he meets his wife Greta and their new baby. Will talks to Borel privately and give him a decade, which corresponds to the 10 years they've known each other. Will goes to the bus stop in the evening to wait for his mother, but she never arrives. Rachel only has an hour and a half left, and the bus fare went up in the afternoon, so she can no longer afford it. It's a 2-hour walk back home, so Rachel must run if she wants to see her son again. Will also begins running when he realizes what's happening. Mother and son collide into each other in the middle of the street, but unfortunately it's too late, and Rachel dies in Will's arms. The next morning, the Timekeepers police force discovers Henry's body in the river. Agent Leon is convinced he has been murdered for his time, and directs his men to examine the security footage. They can't see the body fall because of the angle of the cameras, but they can see Will's face, and assume he's responsible for Henry's death. Meanwhile, Will is determined to avenge his mother's death. He hires a limo pretending to be a wealthy man who has become lost, and orders the driver to take him to New Greenwich, which means paying an expensive toll every time he crosses a border. When he arrives in the city, he stays in a nice hotel, and socialite Sylvia notices him. Will's crossing of so many time zones in such a short period of time appears suspicious in the system, allowing the Timekeepers to find his current location. Leon also realizes he's chased Will's father in the past. Will goes to the casino in the evening after purchasing a proper suit. Will joins the poker table, where he meets Mr. Weiss, a time-loaning businessman who isn't afraid to bet big. Sylvia, Weiss' daughter, comes to the table to watch, and Will keeps an eye on her, while taking the risk and betting everything he has. This proves worth it because Will wins the game, impressing Weiss and earning Will an invitation to his next party. Will buys a very expensive car the next day, and drives it to Weiss' party. Sylvia gets curious about Will and invites him to dance, telling him she can tell he's from the ghetto. She admits that she sometimes envies people from the ghetto, because she is constantly surrounded by her father's guards, and has no real freedom. She wishes she could do something silly or enjoyable. Weiss eventually invites Will to play poker, but they are abruptly interrupted by the Timekeepers, who discovered Will's location by following the purchase of his car. Will is taken to a private office for questioning, but when he tells them about Henry purposefully timing out, they don't believe him and take up most of his time, leaving him with only 2 hours for booking and processing. Leon tells Will that he reminds him of his father, who Will doesn't remember well. Weiss and Sylvia arrive to check on the situation, and Will uses the distraction to beat up the Timekeepers, and steal a gun before fleeing. He takes Sylvia hostage with the gun, and they flee through the back door in Will's car. Will asks Sylvia for some time as they make their way to the ghetto, but she refuses to assist him. When they arrive at the bridge, Will is distracted by the security cameras, and fails to notice the spike strip on the ground, causing the car to crash. Will and Sylvia both pass out, and are discovered minutes later by Fortis and his men, who immediately begin stealing Sylvia's time. When they wake up, Sylvia panics about how little time she has left, and asks Will for help. Will finds it ironic that she is now in favor of sharing, but he still helps her before driving her into town. After they've left, the timekeepers arrive to inspect the car, but Leon must first request his daily pay, as he never carries more time than is necessary. Seeing the situation, Leon decides not to go after Will any longer because he is confident he will contact them first. Will goes to Borel for help, but Greta has bad news. Borel drank so much that he died with 9 years left on his timer. Sylvia begins to panic once more, but Will notices her fancy earrings, and drags her to the pawn shop. The owner is about to close, but when he sees how valuable the rings are, he makes an exception. He also notices how desperate they are for time, and offers them only 2 days, which they must accept in order to survive. They then proceed to a pay phone, where Will instructs Sylvia to dial her house phone, so he can speak with Leon. Will demands that 1,000 years be distributed to the timelines in the ghetto as a ransom. Leon warns Will that he is becoming too much like his father, and reveals that the man did not die in a time fight, as Will believes, but rather while doing something more dangerous. Will hangs up on him, and Leon informs Sylvia's parents of the ransom, but Weiss is hesitant to give away even what is basically pocket change to him. Will takes Sylvia to his apartment to spend the night there, and Sylvia changes into Rachel's old clothes. Sylvia inquires about Will's father, and Will explains that his father was an excellent time fighter, who taught him a few tricks. To prove his point, he grabs Sylvia's arm and demonstrates how to time fight. It's a battle of wills between timers. His father taught him to let the opponent think they have the upper hand, let his own clock almost reach zero, and when the opponent is distracted by his incoming death, turn the tables and take it all. Will used to believe his father died in a time fight, but he now believes he was killed, because he gave away what he won. Sylvia is hurt by her father's lack of concern, but she eventually realizes that he became wealthy by harming other people's rights. Will tells Sylvia to go home, but she refuses, causing them to accept to work together and kiss. Meanwhile, Weiss deceives his investors by claiming that everything is under control. Leon arrives to inform him that this is no longer a kidnapping, and now Sylvia is being chased after like a criminal as well. Weiss attempts to bribe Leon into changing his mind, but Leon refuses. Later, Sylvia asks Will if he truly would give away time if he had it. When Will confirms he would, she comes up with a plan. The pair then steals a Weiss money truck, and crashes it into a time bank, stealing as many time capsules as they can. The remaining capsules are left for the ghetto residents to grab. Nothing is left by the time the timekeepers arrive. Greta discovers a time capsule among her laundry in the evening, left by Will as an apology. Will also pay a visit to Maya, who is sleeping on the streets, and he leaves some extra time for her as well. The rest of the time they stole is transferred to the timeline, where the clerk distributes it to whoever needs it. Will and Sylvia start robbing time banks all over the place, and their crimes make the news. Weiss speculates that his daughter tried to kill him, but his wife points out that Weiss almost killed her first by suffocating her. A week later, Leon and his men arrive at Will's apartment, and get ready to arrest them. Will on the other hand, hears the radio chatter from the window, and flees with Sylvia. Will and Sylvia check into a hotel a few hours later, paying extra to have all the rooms, and for the receptionist not to tell anyone. When a new client arrives, he is told that the hotel is fully booked, but he does get a quick glimpse of Will and Sylvia heading upstairs. Fortis and his men later begin threatening people on the streets, in exchange for information on Will and Sylvia. People initially remain silent in order to protect their saviors, but Fortis then kills a man to show his seriousness. This prompts the hotel person to reveal what he witnessed. Will and Sylvia learn at the hotel that the reward for their heads is 10 years, which they consider pretty insulting. Fortis and his men storm into the room, holding the couple at gunpoint. He claims he dislikes killing people in cold blood, and challenges Will to a time fight. Will employs the trick his father taught him, and when Henry looks at his timer, Will begins to take his time. The guards come closer to watch in shock, and Will seizes the opportunity to shoot them all, before he makes Fortis time out for good. By the time the timekeepers arrive at the hotel, Will and Sylvia are already gone. Some hours later, Will notices that prices and loan rates are being raised faster, to compensate for the new time on the streets. Their small robberies aren't making a difference. It would take 1,000,000 years to even make a dent in the system. Fortunately, Sylvia knows where to look for such an amount. The next day, Weiss is concerned about the situation, and goes to work with more bodyguards than usual. When the guards notice a threat, they turn around, but it's just Sylvia declaring that she wants to surrender. Weiss believes her and is ready to save her. This distraction allows Will to sneak behind him, and capture him as a hostage. Then Will and Sylvia drag Weiss to his office, and force him to open the safe, which contains a 1,000,000-year capsule. After locking Weiss in his own office, Will and Sylvia escape. When the Timekeepers learn of the robbery, they rush after them, blocking the bridge and preventing them from returning to the ghetto. Leon is also chasing them, and when he finds them, he is so focused on them that he forgets to get his daily pay. Will ignores the bullets and drives through the time zone barrier, allowing him to reach the ghetto. Leon wastes no time and collides with their vehicle. Will immediately exits the vehicle, and hands over the 1,000,000-year capsule to Maya, before pretending to surrender with Sylvia. A smug Leon believes he has won, but the timeline announces that there is time for everyone, and an eager crowd fills the street, obstructing Leon's way and allowing Sylvia and Will to flee. Leon pushes people aside, in order to get back in his car and follow the robbers. He eventually catches up to them, and Will suspects Leon is also from the ghetto. Leon confirms this, and explains that he worked hard to get out, as it should be, before attempting to arrest them. Will points out that it's pointless, because he and Sylvia only have a few minutes left, so they'll die soon anyway. Leon looks at his own timer, and realizes he doesn't have much time, because he didn't collect his pay. At that instant, his clock times out and Leon dies on the road. Will and Sylvia have only seconds left, so they kiss goodbye. However, Will realizes the keepers have time in their vehicles, so he rushes to Leon's car to take some for himself. Sylvia isn't as fast as him and worries she won't make it, but Will runs back to her and they meet halfway, allowing them to share time before death catches them. Newscasts all over the nation show how people have taken to the streets. People are crossing the zones to get to New Greenwich, while the factories are closed. Authorities swear that everything is under control, but everyone knows that the system is going to collapse soon. Employees at the Timekeepers office decide to leave, because there is nothing they can do. Will and Sylvia are never caught, and they begin targeting larger banks, in order to prevent the old system from returning. So this was the story of the film In Time, released in 2011. If you like the story, then do watch the full film, and if you want to watch more such amazing recaps, then do subscribe to our channel. See you in the next recap.